Hi there, and welcome to the Daily Gardener, an almanac of garden history, literature, and small botanical joys. I'm Jennifer Ebling, and today is June 12th. There are days in the garden when everything is just right. The light, the temperature, the particular way the breeze moves through everything that is currently blooming. And in those moments, the only appropriate response is pure, unguarded joy. Harriet Elizabeth Prescott Spofford, the American writer born in 1835, knew exactly that feeling. She wrote, "Ah, happy day, refuse to go. Hang in the heavens forever so. Forever in mid-afternoon. Ah, happy day of happy June." That poem is a perfect little cry of joy, pure and unguarded. And it reminds me of a gardener mid-June who looks up at the blue skies above and just wants time to stop. Here's today's garden history. It was on this day in 1757 that the French Jesuit botanist Pierre d'Ancarville died in Peking. He was 50 years old. Pierre was born in 1706 in the town of Louviers, in Normandy, in northern France. Before leaving for missionary work overseas, Pierre studied botany in Paris with Bernard de Jussieu, keeper of the King's Garden at the Jardin du Roi and one of the most respected botanists in Europe. So in January of 1740, when Pierre left for China on a ship called the Jason, he carried that training with him. 2 years later, when he arrived in Peking, he joined a small community of Jesuit missionaries living near the Qing imperial court. They were priests that the emperors kept close and valued for their practical knowledge. There, Pierre worked in the imperial glass workshop and learned Chinese, but he was always botanizing. Outside the city walls, the Jesuit cemetery was one of the few green places that were open to him, and it was there that Pierre began collecting plants to send to Paris. In November of 1742, Pierre wrote a long letter to Jussieu. Inside it was a key piece of intelligence. Pierre wrote, "L'Empereur aime les fleurs." The emperor likes flowers. Pierre asked Jussieu to send seeds, roots, and bulbs, hoping for something that might delight the court. His best hope was a plant called Mimosa pudica, or the sensitive plant. It's a strange little plant with leaves that fold inward the moment they are touched. But growing it in Peking through severe winters was difficult. Still, Pierre managed to keep the mimosa alive through 3 long winters. And then finally, in 1753, he carried 2 living plants before the Emperor Qianlong. When the emperor reached out his hand, his fingers touched the leaves, and the leaves folded. Qianlong laughed in delight, and he commanded a court painter to record the moment and ordered a glass cover built to protect the plant from winter cold. And from that day forward, Pierre had something he had never had before: access to the imperial gardens. Now he could study Chinese plants in plain sight and send seeds back to Europe. When the sea routes proved unstable, Pierre tried something new: Russian caravans, merchant convoys that traveled overland through Mongolia and Siberia to Moscow, and from there on to Paris. This is how several remarkable Chinese plants reached European gardens for the very first time, including the pagoda tree, the golden rain tree, and the tree of heaven. But only a few years later, after the imperial gardens were finally opened to him, Pierre died of fever in Peking on June 12, 1757. In a rare gesture, the emperor arranged for his burial. Today, Pierre d'Ancarville is remembered in the genus Incarvillea, those showy trumpet-flowered perennials that are still grown in gardens today. And in the Royal Botanic Garden, Paris, a pagoda tree grown from seeds Pierre sent in 1747 still stands. And it was on this day, in 1859, that the German horticulturist Wilhelm Lauche was born near Leipzig, Germany. Wilhelm came from a family of gardeners. His uncle, also named Wilhelm Lauche, was one of Germany's most respected pomologists, a man who gave his life to fruit, naming and comparing apples and pears, and preserving varieties that might otherwise have vanished. The younger Wilhelm grew up inside that work. As a young man, he trained as a gardener and studied botany, and by his early 20s, he was already teaching students to tell one apple from another and why it mattered. In 1883, Wilhelm traveled east from Leipzig, 300 miles southeast, until he reached Eisgrube, an immense estate belonging to the Prince of Liechtenstein. It was a place built for growing at scale. A palm house, a great glass building that sheltered tropical trees through the winter, a minaret beside the lake, a tall Moorish tower startling in the middle of a European estate, and greenhouses holding 1,000 orchids. Wilhelm spent the next 55 years there. In 1895, he founded a school at Eisgrube, where students trained in fruit growing and horticulture as a serious profession, and he rose to direct the entire estate. And then he went further. In 1912, Wilhelm established a plant breeding institute and gave it a remarkable name, the Mendelium, named for Gregor Mendel, the monk from Brno who had shown that traits pass from one generation to the next in patterns that can be understood. Wilhelm carried that discovery into the orchard. At the Mendelium, plants were crossed and selected across years to make new varieties. It was the same slow work his family had always practiced, but now with a new name and a building of its own. But then, in 1938, German forces moved into the region where Eisgrube stood. Wilhelm was 79. He was forced to return to Leipzig, the city where his life had begun, 400 miles away. He left behind the orchards, the collections, the Mendelium, and 55 years of work. For the most part, they did not survive the war. Yet Wilhelm lived on in Leipzig into his 90s, a gardener without his garden. He died there on January 15th, 1950. Yet his school at Eisgrube still stands. In today's Unearthed Words, we hear a passage from Studies of Trees in Winter by the American naturalist and writer Annie Oakes Huntington, born on this day, June 12th, in 1875. Annie grew up in Jamaica Plain, Massachusetts, just down the road from the Arnold Arboretum. Annie once wrote to a friend, "I have become a Bedouin since my last letter, and I am never going to live within walls again." Annie spent her life with her companion, Jeanette Payson, a fellow naturalist. Together, they built a house in Maine. There, Annie photographed trees in the snow, studying twigs, buds, and bark with the same rigor a botanist brings to a flower. Charles Sprague Sargent, the director of the Arnold Arboretum at Harvard, thought her work was important enough to introduce himself. Annie's great subject was the winter tree, the one everyone else was waiting to get past. She wanted to change that. She wrote, "Outside my window, the trees in a little wood stand leafless. Everything which made this wood a delight in June, the contrast of light and shade among the leaves, the varying tones of green in broken sunlight, the warmth and color and summer freshness, has gone. But the trees themselves were never so beautiful as now." the fine tracery of their little bare twigs now clear against the sky. Their poise, strength, and delicacy is revealed as it is never revealed in summer. Annie died in 1940 on her farm in Maine. 3 years earlier, bedridden and ill, Annie wrote to a friend that the radio had become her great comfort, and she planned to take every course that Harvard was broadcasting for free. Annie never did live within walls. Even bedridden, she had Harvard coming through the radio. It's time to grow that garden library with today's book, Consider the Lily by Elizabeth Buchan. As we close out Garden Stories and Fiction Week, where gardens become the setting for memory, mystery, love, and transformation, this novel is the perfect place to land. The Sunday Times called it the literary equivalent of an English country garden, and it really is. Consider the Lily opens in the summer of 1929 on an English country estate called Hinton Dysart. The estate is dying from lack of money. The heir is a young man named Kit Dysart who sees no way out until his sister's wedding when he meets two cousins. One is Daisy, vibrant, witty, the woman Kit instantly falls in love with, and the other is Maddie, quiet, shy, plain, and an heiress. Kit marries Maddie. Daisy never quite leaves his mind. And Maddie, moving through the rooms of a great house and a marriage that does not love her back, goes out into the neglected garden and begins to bring it back to life. What she finds there becomes the heart of the novel, a talent she never knew she had, a purpose, a self, and slowly, a quiet kind of healing. Now about the author. Elizabeth Buchan began as a blurb writer at Penguin Books. She became a fiction editor at Random House and then left to write full-time. She's best known to American readers for her bestseller Revenge of the Middle-Aged Woman, which was later a CBS drama. But Consider the Lily is the novel her loyal readers return to again and again. It won the Romantic Novelists Association Novel of the Year Award in 1994, and it has been quietly beloved by gardeners ever since. If you love Joanna Trollope, Rosamund Pilcher, or Kate Morton, this book belongs on your summer stack. An English country house, a neglected garden, and a young woman who didn't know she had a gift until the soil told her. It's the perfect way to close out Fiction Week. And finally, here's something sweet to ignite the little botanic spark in your heart. It was on this day in 1827 in Herzl, Switzerland, that Johanna Spiri was born. Johanna grew up in a small village in the hills above Zurich, where the meadows ran up into the Alps and the summers smelled of wildflowers and goat grass and cold, clean air coming down off the peaks. She carried that landscape inside her for the rest of her life, and when she was in her 50s, living in the city and missing the mountains, she wrote a story about a little girl who goes to live with her grandfather high on an alpine pasture called Ulm. The girl's name was Heidi, and the mountains in that book are not just a setting, they are the cure. When a frail girl named Clara comes to visit, a child who has spent her life in a wheelchair, pale and tired and indoors, the meadows do what no doctor had managed. The air fills her lungs, the sun warms her face, and wildflowers nod in the wind. Heidi gathers them with joy, and Clara watches until something in her body begins to remember what it was made for. And by the end of the summer, Clara stands, and then she walks. Johanna didn't invent that. She remembered it. The same meadows that made her, she put on the page and let them heal Clara too. The flower most associated with Heidi's meadows is the alpine gentian, Gentiana acaulis, a low, mat-forming perennial with blooms so intensely blue that they look almost unreal, as if someone painted them. Barely 4 inches tall, it thrives in rocky, well-drained soil and full sun. Hardy to Zone 3, it asks for almost nothing and rewards you every spring with a blue that stops you cold. Johanna died in 1901, having written more than 40 books. But it was Heidi that endured. Translated into more than 60 languages, never out of print, still putting children on a mountainside and reminding them that the meadow is where the healing is. I think Johanna knew that long before she ever wrote a word of it. She just had to get far enough from the mountains to miss them enough to write it all down. As we close the show today, remember, June days make you throw your head back and shout Harriet's words at the sky. Ah, happy day of happy June. It's finally here. Yet these happy days can pass us by if we're too busy to stop and smell the roses. It's time to do just that. Stop, smell, see, touch, and take it all in. This is the moment that Harriet was shouting about, the one you'll think back to in February. Thanks for listening to The Daily Gardener, and remember, for a happy, healthy life, garden every day.